the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Hey there, AVNation. Welcome to the brand new AVapp Show. I'm your host, Phillip Cordell, Director of Engineering at M3 Technology Group, also known as your boy HiPhi, the AV professional. Today, I'm joined by two brand new co-hosts, very excited. The first being Victoria Ferrari, a staple in the AV industry. Hey, Victoria, how are you?
Good. What's up?
And so stoked that you're here with us.
Thanks.
Next up, we've got Mosey Levy. Mosey, how you doing today, bud? Welcome everyone, right? Welcome AVNation. So as I mentioned, super excited, jumping right back into the AVapp Show. Been on a little hiatus for a moment, but we're back and raring to go. Today we're going to be looking at a pretty cool app. It began in the kind of application space as a web-based software app. It's used for proposals, it's used for quoting, but recently they're jumping over into the actual iPhone, iOS, Android app space. And so that's why they find themselves on AVapps. Mosey, you want to tell us a little bit about Portal?
Yeah, so Portal is a company that started out a couple years ago to kind of bring all of the manufacturers together to create a database and make it easier for dealers to order through their manufacturers or distributors. And it ended up that they started making proposal software too. It had such a massive, incredible database. It became obvious to start offering proposals to dealers. When we saw it last year at CEDIA, quickly jumped on it right away. Within a week, I was making, medium to large size quotes. I'd say $50,000 quotes in 15 minutes or less. We were flying through it. They're moving at such a rapid pace. They're adding features nonstop. They have where you can request a feature and it would be there in a week. And so we've been using their quoting software for about a year, really, really helping our company. And they're now releasing an iOS version of the app, which I've been basing for. And the app is really interesting because it almost all the functionality of the website in this 1.0 app. Now, in some ways, it's better than the website. Some ways, it's a little worse. I'll run through what it does. Basically, you can do a search for any product out there. And if you are an authorized dealer, it'll show you your pricing and if it's in stock or not. Even if you're not an authorized dealer, you could still add that product to your quote. You choose an Apple TV, you could add it to 3 rooms, really proposal. To see it and look at the screenshots. So basically, once you finish your proposal, you send it off to the client, opens it, you get an email notification that they opened it. They communicate to you in the in their web version of the quote that it might need changes and give you feedback. It's a really interesting quoting software that basically improved our workflow with our clients.
Awesome. And so it's primarily quoting, primarily proposals. Victoria, is this something that you could see yourself or maybe some of your cohorts in the AV industry using?
Yeah. So I checked out the software online, and quoting is actually a pain point sometimes for me and my company. We also use a cloud-based software to do quotes, and they don't have the big database like Portal does. And what I really liked about it was the search feature. It was like if I was looking for specifically chief mounts, I could put that in, or I could just put in mounts. Or if I needed video conferencing and didn't know, the manufacturer or the part number. I thought the search was really cool. It gave really relevant results. And like Mosey said, it just allowed for proposals to be done really quickly. So that was—
The search is really fast. It's a really fast search. It's almost instantaneous.
Yeah, the other thing I noticed was that I could see how it is based on the search results, I could see that it is geared, at least this first version, a little bit more towards residential dealers, just based on some of the products that were in there. But I could definitely see commercial dealers using this as well. And I noticed that they had some sort of tie-in with D-Tools, and I'd be interested to see, how that ties in with D-Tools. And
So basically what they're doing is they're offering their database to other companies to utilize. So D-Tools will now, instead of using their own database, will be using Portal's database, which is a very big thing. I've used D-Tools for years before this, and they really were very proud of their database and updating it and charging extra for the gold data. And now that they're moving over to Portal, this very young company, that says a lot about who these guys are. And one more thing on that note is last year they had a small to medium-sized booth, and this year they had a monster booth at the show. So really, really fast growth. There are a few other companies that are going to be using Portal's data for their back end. Charging anything for the service anymore, to charge monthly to the end user. Now, I'm not really sure how they plan to make money, but they are creating partnerships with so many different companies and manufacturers.
You get the people, bring the people, the money will come, right?
Well, yeah, they have a ton of investment, but I think they're trying to make money off the manufacturers or distributors on that end instead of at the dealer end.
Gotcha. Cool. And so, Mosey, it sounds like you've got some hands-on experience with this. So you throw together your proposal as those screenshots that we saw, and then in terms of shooting out POs to the distributors that are linked on the back end of Portal, is that a pretty straightforward process, or is that something where you have to send them one by one?
Yeah. Once your client approves your proposal, you could basically just create a PO, and it takes all the different. It knows who you order from, and you can tell it who you order from. So if it's Snap AV or Crestron or your local distributor, it automatically creates a PO per vendor that you're going to go through and sends it out to them. And it'll show you 3 or 4 different POs that are automatically created. Once the vendor gets the PO, they could mark it as processing or in shipment or whatever it is. So it's a two-way communication with the vendor. It's not just here's the PO and then we wait for it. It's a living relationship sending that PO out.
Cool, man. Do you know, let's say I'm looking for a TV, and typically I would check either Synex or Tech Data or both to compare stock and pricing. Do you know how the app handles that type of situation? Will it seek out the best pricing? Am I tethered to just one distributor for one SKU? Or how does that work? Do you know?
You're not tethered. I'm not sure exactly the answer of how it gives you, I don't know if it's price competitive in terms of giving you the best price every time you search. I think it's more about which vendor you go to, but every time you pick a product, you could and choose which vendor. It'll show you the price and the stock on each vendor. How accurate and live that data is, I'm not 100% sure. Some companies are better than others at having live data like that. Like Snap AV is probably really good at it, where your local vendors maybe not so good at having that live data.
Right. Rocking, guys. Well, so this is a pretty cool, obviously the web version, I feel like is locked down tight. It does what it says it does. The app, for it being a first gen app, I'm pretty impressed by how sleek it looks, how smooth it seems to operate. I'm looking forward to not just seeing this roll out, but potentially, the features that roll out in the future as well. One of the things that struck me on their website, and I think you mentioned as well, is that they like to gather and ingest feedback and respond quickly. So I'm interested to know how quickly they're turning revisions of the app, to include new pricing.
Yeah. So it's 1.0, so I don't even know if it's been officially released yet. But in terms of beta testing, I've beta tested many apps before, and they were rolling out 3 versions a day, which is insane. They were just rocking. I could not believe it. I've never seen updates that fast. In terms of fit and finish and feature set of the first app, this is a 1.0 that is also really, really impressive. It is a little harder to do a few things, but on the other hand, it's easier to do other things. So it's kind of a different experience. They didn't take the website and just shrink it down to an iPhone. they rethought the entire thing for this screen, and it makes a lot of sense. They're just going to have to work out a few of the other things that are a little, like if you've seen the video that I put, adding in labor and changing the quantity. There's a few too many steps, but that's such a small thing that 1.1 or 1.01 or whatever it is, I'm sure they'll fix that really quickly.
Rocking, man. So Victoria, any final thoughts, anything that strikes you?
Yeah, one last thing I was going to say is, I think having an app like that would really increase or decrease the sales cycle. So imagine how powerful, you're on site with a client and, you're able to put together all the things that they want and send them a quote right then and there. I mean, where usually it's a turnaround time of a week or so. So that, I think that is very powerful and could be a big thing, a big change in our industry.
It's interesting you said that, because I have sat in meetings with my laptop open before this app, and I kind of had to hide my laptop because it showed my pricing. But as we were making decisions, I was adding and removing quantity from the quote live. And by the end of the meeting, my quote was already reflecting what we just talked about. I spoke to Kirk, the CEO, and he told me that they're creating an iPad version later down the line that's going to be geared towards meetings, so that you could have a retail-only version of it, and so that you can kind of both look at it and play with it at the same time. Still more that we're looking for in the software, like packages, or for the client to kind of choose A or B, options A or B within each room. But I'll tell you, I might sound like a fanboy in this, and it's because I am. They've increased, like you said, the cycle, the how quick we could quote out and how quick we get feedback from clients. Not just that, the fact that we get an email every time they open the quote. It used to be I sent out a quote and I would get nervous not to hear something back for 2 days. Other clients, should I email them, should I not? And now I see that they're opening it at 10 o'clock at night and then at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm having zero communication from them, but at least I know things are kind of moving the way they're supposed to. They're not ignoring it. It's a big deal, this software for us. There are other companies that are doing similar things, but they have the relationships, they have the data, and they're moving really quickly forward.
Yeah, that's an awesome feature. I think, first of all, the first point, what salesman hasn't sat in their office depressed because, I've got so many quotes to do and it's going to take me forever. So it's great that this streamlines the process, and then secondly, to have that kind of two-way engagement with the quote after you send it out. I wonder if the customer knows that we get that kind of feedback. I don't know.
I hope they're not listening, right?
And here's the thing.
I don't think it's
everybody watches AVApps, so you have to assume that yes, they are listening. But it's cool, we just want to know when you're looking at the quotes, that's all, and we appreciate that feedback, whether you wanted to give it to us or not.
And we don't stalk your Facebook page or Twitter or anything.
No.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, again, this looks like a pretty sweet app. Looks like it solves multiple pain points that our industry faces. If we were going to rate this app on a scale of 1 to 5, and let's say 1 to 5 proposals, and that's a good looking proposal with a glossy cover sheet. How many proposals would you guys want to give it? Let's start with you, Victoria. Out of 5, we can do half a proposal. We've all turned in half a proposal. You can even do quarter proposals. So where would you rate this?
I give it a 4 at this point, just, because I really haven't played with it enough to know. But based on just the initial look at it and being able, those search results being so good and fast and accurate, I give it a 4, solid 4.
Solid 4. Thanks, Victoria. Mosey, what you thinking, bud?
I just had to think about this a little bit, and I'm going to give it a 5, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going to give it a 5. The other day, I had to give my baby a bottle, and with one hand, I punched out a quote while feeding my baby, and that is a 5.
That's pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive. So. All right. I'm going to, just because I probably don't have the same level of engagement, while I do have a baby, I have not had to prepare a quote while feeding him. So it's difficult for me to push to that 5 threshold. So I'm probably going to sit with Victoria right there at about 4 solid proposals. We're talking scope of work is rolled in. I mean, these things are ready to go. So it's 4 full proposals. And again, it's 1.0. That's what excites me about this, is that we're just at the tip of the iceberg, literally, with what this app's going to do. And that's something else that really excites me about our show. Here on AVApps, we get the latest, the greatest, and sometimes the betas. And that's what we're looking at right now. We didn't expect to get this before everybody else, but I guess we got a little juice, got a little pull sometimes. So that's pretty sweet. So there you have it, folks. The Portal app and online web application is available online right now, and the app will be available soon. So thanks for checking out the AVApps show. Real quick, Victoria, where can they find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter, Victoria0429, or on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Boom. Mosey, where can they find you?
They can't. I'm sorry. I'm just hiding from everyone. No. I'm on Facebook as Mosey Levy. I'm on Instagram as Motech, Motech. My company is Instagram Backstage AV, one word.
Boom. All right. And of course, you guys can find me on my website, which I'm doing a horrible job at updating, theavprofessional.com. You can find me on Twitter at _AV_pro. Find me on YouTube on my fun videos, youtube.com/HiPhidelity, HiPhidelity. And of course, you can find all 3 of us right here on AVNation.tv. So there you go, folks. For all the haps on the latest apps, always make sure you join us here on the AV App Show.